Welcome to part one of my series on data science using Python. In this video, I'm just going to cover the basics of setting up your environment and importing data into your code editor. Now, since we're going to be working with Python, it goes without saying that you need to have Python installed, as well as some necessary packages since we are doing data science. If you already have Python and you know how to install packages as needed, this video might not be for you. Just go ahead and skip to my later ones. Now, without further ado, the easiest way to get started is to go to Google and just type in Anaconda. You type that in, and the first result will hopefully be the Anaconda Python distribution right here. Go ahead and open that up. What we want is going to just be the individual edition because it's open source and free. And I'm on Windows, so I would just click download right here. If you're on Apple or Linux, go ahead and click over here, just follow the prompts, and eventually you'll have everything installed and downloaded. And the nice thing about Anaconda is that means we've installed and downloaded pretty much everything we need. It includes Python, all the important packages, and the Spider IDE for code editing. Speaking of which, let's open that up. So if you just type in Spider over here like so, that's Spider with a Y, and you can go ahead and open up your IDE. All right. And so right here, I'm just going to show you just the basics of importing some data. So the first thing you got to do is check to see if you're in the right working directory. And you can do that by clicking on the top right and selecting the location. You can do it by this. And select the location where your data file is stored. So in my case, I have it stored in documents. So I'm just going to click select folder because it's in my documents folder. And you can see it if I click in documents. The data file I'm going to be using is aptly named data. I put it right here. See, I have a CSV file named data with all the data that I want to be looking at. And so that's why we're in documents, because that's where it's stored. Once you've done that, let's import the pandas library as PD. And we can use one of their functions to read in our CSV file with the pd.read CSV function. I'm just calling it dataset. You can name it whatever you want. Pretty common technique is to say df. I'm just going to say dataset. And so you do pd.read CSV because I'm using a CSV file, and you put in whatever the name of your file is. If you want to use mine, I'll put the link in the description, and then .csv. And so if you run this and you're in the right working directory, I'm just going to highlight, press F9. You could also just press run at the top there. You should see, once you click on the variable explorer, your data set should appear. You can double click it, take a look at it, and it should all be there. There are also some other data types you might see, such as Excel files. If you want to do an Excel file, I have this code right here. It's really similar, except this time it's Excel, read Excel, and it's going to be, a .xlsx file probably. I don't have an Excel file called data, so if I were to try running this, it's just not going to work at all. It's going to give me probably a working directory error, right? No such file or directory. So if I did have one called this and I still got this error, it would mean I'm in the wrong working directory. Maybe I need to be just in some other place. You can click over here, see your entire computer's directory, pick the folder it's in. But I'm in the right working directory. It's just not an Excel file. It's a CSV file. There are also other file types you might see, maybe JSON or something. You can look up the documentation yourself, but this should cover most scenarios. And that's really it for just the basics of importing data and setting up your environment. Thank you for watching, and I hope you learned something.